Ready?
Are you ready, Brian?
Here we go.
I'm so ready.
It's just another thirsty Thursday, but only one more day till Friday, and that's one day away from Saturday, and Saturday is even better than Sunday. It's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. It's Thursday. It's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. It's Thursday. Thursday. Thursday's the day we take for granted because we know our Friday plans could be slanted. But today's only 2 days from the weekend and only 36 hours from hanging with our friends. And something tells me this day will go fine. And for dinner, I think I'll have a glass of wine because it's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. It's Thursday. It's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. It's Thursday. It's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. It's Thursday.
This is the...
I didn't have bongos.
You should have told me. I could have got you some.
Okay, all right.
Thursday. Over the hump day. It's Thursday. The end of the sight day. It's Thursday.
Got real weird.
It could be a worse day. It's Thursday. The Randy Hughes is brewing more beer day. Thank you, Randy Hughes.
Oh, so big, so loud, so breathy, so breathy. I feel the breathiness right now. Scrady with his original version of the Thursday song from many, many years ago. Doc texting in saying, classic. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that thing's got to be 16, 17 years old, something like that. It's been around for a minute. So big, so breathy. I'm breathing, Jade. I'm breathing. Just a second. Jade. I'm not going to eat the cheese, Jade. I'm not eating any cheese. Our buddy Scrady with the Thursday song, the one that kicked it off so many years ago. Had several iterations over the last umpteen years. Got to get some more of these. I've been lazy. I've been lackadaisical with the Thursday song. Haven't really been as aggressive as I probably could be when it comes to getting people to record new versions of the Thursday song. Anyways, it is Thursday. Jean is in Nashville, I'm assuming. I have not heard from her, but I don't think they're in Nashville today until later today. I think they stopped because they left yesterday, and the bus drove like a bunch of hours, and then they stopped and stayed at a hotel somewhere in, I think, Indy. And then they're on their way to Nashville sometime this morning. Should get there by mid to late afternoon. But she's gone. Me and you hanging out. Office Cora going to join me later on, talking about what's happening in the 715 this weekend. Hypothetical Thursday. Office Cora and I will ask each other hypothetical questions, see what our answers are. Lots of other stuff to get to. Bad news, happy music. Daily check-ins. You can find all our contact info online at rockmornings.com. Make sure you're signing up for date night while you're on the website as well. Your chance to win freebies from the Bloomer Brewing Company if you live in the Eau Claire area. And your chance to win freebies from Saxon Hall in Brownsville if you live in the La Crosse area. We'll pick winners for that tomorrow. And again, very nasally, a lot of coughing. Actually got a pretty decent night's sleep, but still woke up this morning and it's moved a little bit more from my chest into my nose and into my nasal passages. So going to be blowing my nose a lot this morning and coughing quite a bit, but I'll get through it. Disturbed and Jane's Addiction in just a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
As part of the national Sound the Alarm effort, fire departments throughout the Cooley region and western Wisconsin going to be installing smoke detectors in people's homes this weekend free of charge. La Crosse Fire Department community risk educator Molly McCormick said, we're going to be coming to your homes. We're going to do the install alongside you. We're going to provide education and make sure you and your families have a plan and know what to do so you can know and feel confident to act if you were to have an emergency. Fire officials say smoke alarms should be replaced every 10 years. People only have about 2 minutes to get out of their house or a building when there is a fire and the alarms are going off. La Crosse on Alaska Home and Fire Departments all taking part in the effort. You can sign up apparently online if you're interested. It's the Sound the Alarm effort. And if you go to the Red Cross website, you can schedule a free Red Cross home fire safety visit right there for more information. Kind of weird that it's going through the Red Cross, but yeah. Sound the Alarm effort, free smoke detectors if you've got maybe some old ones. Time to get them replaced. Have them looked at. Looks like Country Boom may not be getting that land after all. County leaders have been talking with the promoters of the Country Boom concert/weekend who wanted to buy some land along Lake Neshonoc for a new venue and some new housing project discussed at the county board meeting on Monday night. But yesterday, the county board executive committee decided not to put the land up for sale until they figure out what the site is worth and consider more possible offers. Jason Gilman, speaking for the Country Boom Group, said Country Boom has a very light footprint on the land, so you can effectively look at that as development reserve, because who knows what happens in the next 50 to 75, 100 years. Country Boom would migrate to a new location, a bigger location, and that land is still available for development of a future community. The cross-county officials have said it's still in the very early planning stages, and the board chair, Tina Trigstad, said that delaying the sale of the land allows the county government to develop a transparent process for considering other efforts. St. Croix County Assistant District Attorney charged last week threatening 3 judges and driving recklessly while his wife and children were in the car with him. This guy had himself a day. Bella Alec Bayo, maybe, charged last Friday with 3 counts of threatening a judge, 1 count of disorderly conduct, 1 count of possession of THC, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia. According to the criminal complaint, a witness who works with this gentleman told law enforcement that he had called him and was expressed that he was upset over some decisions the judges were making, adding it was, quote, making his life hell. During the call, he mentioned some of the judges by name: Scott Needham, Scott Nordstrat, and Edward Vlack. Explained that he was angry that the judges had dismissed cases at jury trial and made adverse rulings against him. Ballo also said that he believed the judges were doing this just to mess with him. So then he got high and took his wife and his kids for a ride, apparently. Yelled on the phone multiple times that the judges need to bleed, raising his voice each time until he was apparently screaming, according to the criminal complaint. Yeah, not good. This guy's probably not going to be the assistant district attorney going forward in the St. Croix County. Frito-Lay has issued a recall of some of their Tostitos chips. Apparently, it's pretty dire, too. Food and Drug Administration increasing the recall of one of Frito-Lay's most popular chips, noting that they could, quote, cause death. That's right, you could die from potato chips. Tostitos Cantina traditional yellow corn tortilla chips were first recalled back in March after Frito-Lay voluntarily recalled a bunch of their products. A limited number of 13-ounce bags could include nacho cheese tortilla chips, meaning they contain milk, which apparently could be deadly, risk a serious or life-threatening allergic reaction. Those with an allergy or sensitivity to dairy. Now, the recall has been upgraded to a Class 1, the highest risk level. Means there is reasonable probability that eating the chips could cause serious adverse health consequences or death. Obviously, if you think you have some of these Tostito chips, you may want to take a look. They've been shipped out to all sorts of different places: drugstores, convenience stores, grocery stores, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, Ohio, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia as well. And they're Tostitos Cantina traditional yellow corn chips in the 13-ounce bags. Big recall going on for those. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Got sports coming up in a bit. If you've got something you need, find me online, rockmornings.com for all the contact info. Fifth Lori thanking me for the original version of the Thursday song. Said it's still the best. You're welcome. It is still the best. No doubt about it. No offense to any of our musician friends who have covered it over the years, but you just can't beat an original.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
A band that can't seem to get it together. Jane's Addiction. Fighting on stage and people accusing other people of all sorts of stuff. Perry Farrell just going crazy. Attacking everybody. That was a couple months ago, but still. Jane's Addiction. Been caught stealing on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. The Brewers absolutely throttling the Rockies last night. 17-2 the final score.
The pitch, 1-1 is a fly ball, right center field. Mitchell tracking it back into his left. Makes the catch, and this ball game is in the books. The Brewers have taken the first two games of this series and won their first series in Colorado since May of 2018.
Yeah, 17-2 win over the slumping Rockies last night. Final game of that three-game series is this afternoon at 2:10. Bucks were off last night. They're at home against the Pelicans. Hey, Pelican. Tip-off at 7 p.m. tonight. Only 3 games left in the regular season for the Bucks before the playoffs get started. Ja Morant's not satisfied with finger gun celebrations. Decided to do the grenade celebration. I got to be honest, I kind of brought that up at the bar over the weekend after last Thursday and Friday with all the news coming down about him getting warned by the NBA and then fined by the NBA for doing the finger gun celebration. I said to a buddy of mine, maybe he'll do something else like a hand grenade celebration. We've seen those in baseball, right? Guy takes the rosin bag, throws it, ducks down behind the mound like he's waiting in a bomb shelter for the grenade to go off. Foxhole. Ja Morant apparently did the grenade celebration, pretending to pull on something with his teeth and then throwing it into the crowd at the Spectrum Center before covering his ears while running back down the court after hitting a three-pointer. This was earlier this week against the Charlotte Hornets. I'm guessing the NBA is going to be like, look, dude, every time you do something like this, we're going to fine you. And then eventually he'll stop doing it, or he just won't care and keep doing it. Ja Morant. You know who's going to stop doing chicken wings? Cody Bellinger. This guy plays for the Yankees, and apparently he's going to go without chicken wings for 5 years after he got some room service and food poisoning. Bellinger announcing his decision to get rid of chicken wings on the menu for 5 years. This is yesterday, a couple of days after he consumed some room service chicken wings at the Yankees team hotel while they were in Detroit. Watching the NCAA Tournament National Championship game on Monday night, Bellinger said they were traditional bone-in wings, no sauces, spices, or rubs. Quote, they were good coming in, but I woke up at 4 a.m. sweating and just started throwing up for a few hours. It was a tough morning. So much so that Cody Bellinger of the Yankees sat out the game on Tuesday against the Tigers with food poisoning. He said in his post yesterday, quote, I can say I will not eat wings for 5 years, I swear, because the thought of it right now makes me sick. I'm sure the Yankees organization had a discussion with that hotel and said, what's up? What's up with these suspect wings, these sus wings? All right, I sound stupid trying to say things like that. But they probably did have a conversation with their kitchen at this hotel, wondering what's going on with your chicken wings, man. Did anybody else on the team eat chicken wings? Did they get sick? Just Cody Bellinger? That's a long time to go without chicken wings. I'm not even a big wing fan either. But 5 years, just to say, hey, look, 5 years, I'm going to be off wings for 5 years. Why not, like, I don't know, a few months? Maybe it's not something he eats on a regular basis. Sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Dead Poets Society and Spirit Box coming up in a bit. If you need something, find our contact info online at rockmornings.com.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
The Masters is back. Complete coverage, including our guys in camera towers who stay there all day, never getting a bathroom break. But we're told they have a Home Depot bucket in the tower, all to give you the best view of the Masters on CBS.
Yeah, I kind of got started yesterday with the par 3 contest, and if you haven't seen it, it's probably one of the most wholesome videos of all time. Young Poppy McElroy just sort of donks the club, the putter on the ball. It doesn't look like it's going to roll more than a foot. And then all of a sudden, this thing just has a life of its own, a mind of its own as it rolls closer and closer and closer towards the cup, and eventually, bam, sinks it. Again, one of the most wholesome moments of all time captured right there. She's wearing her little caddy outfit. She's out there with Dad and with Unc. 9th hole during the par 3 contest yesterday. And again, you watch her just sort of, it wasn't even really like a putt. She just sort of like slammed the golf club down where the ball was, and it barely started to trickle. Just a tiny, teensy, weensy, eeny little bit. But then all of a sudden, gained a little bit of steam, made its way down the hill, and right into the cup. Yeah, Rory McIlroy's daughter, Poppy. Very special moment on the 9th hole during the par 3 contest yesterday. A very lengthy putt, too. We're talking maybe, 30, 40 feet. Poppy welcomed with a large round of applause from everybody that was nearby the hole. Uncle Shane Lowry and her dad, very happy, throwing their arms up in the air. There was another little girl that came over and picked her up, and she didn't seem too interested in all the attention that she was getting, though. Poppy, did the shy thing, once the applause started to die down. But if you haven't seen it yet, it's again, very wholesome. It's a pretty good moment. Television today, over on Amazon, the premiere of G20, an action film starring Viola Davis as the president of the United States of America. Terrorists capture world leaders at the G20 summit. So the president, Viola Davis, uses her military training to kick a lot of ass.
President Danielle Sutton. You get around, don't you?
I'll get around to you, too.
Mom, I can help.
Lights up.
Find her.
Where are my husband and kids?
We're all here together.
I'm going to get you out of here.
Also starring Anthony Anderson, Marseille Martin from Blackish, and the guy from Will Trent. It's called G20, an action movie on Amazon premiering today. Season 7 premiere of Black Mirror on Netflix today as well. Meanwhile, the 4th season premiere of Hacks is on Max today. First season finale of The Pit, Noah Wiley's new medical drama on Max. And also tonight, new episodes of 911, Law & Order, Matlock, Dr. Odyssey, Law & Order SVU, Elsbeth Found, and Grey's Anatomy. Jimmy Fallon talking to John Hamm and Patrick Schwarzenegger later on tonight. Jimmy Kimmel's got Christina Ricci as his guest. Colbert is in repeats, and Viola Davis, who's in that G20 film, will be on with Seth Meyers along with Amanda Peet. That's what's on the boob tube today and tonight. Wife and I started watching the mini-series on Netflix called Gone Girls, Long Island, about a serial killer on Long Island. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a 3-part docu-series on Netflix. It's got a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and starts out with a Craigslist prostitute going missing, sex worker, whatever your preferred term is, but going missing, making a 911 call, And then all of a sudden, the authorities start to discover a whole bunch of bodies all up and down the shore of Long Island, New York. And we got about an episode and a half into it last night before I had to call timeout and go to bed. It's pretty good. It's not bad. It's called Gone Girls, the Long Island Serial Killer. I think we're at the point now about halfway through the second episode where we start to figure out who the killer actually is. But it's only 3 episodes. They're about an hour long. Just premiered on Netflix last week, so we're getting caught up with that one. Waiting on a new episode of Daredevil. Waiting on a new episode of Good American Family as well. RockMornings.com if you want to get in touch this morning. Make sure you also sign up for date night. We'll draw the winners for that tomorrow. Actually, I'll draw the winners for that. Jean's gone. She's in Nashville this week. I don't know if you saw, speaking of videos, on the flip side of the whole Poppy McElroy video is the video of Scott Schreiner's wife. You're like, who the hell is Scott Schreiner? That's the bass player for Weezer. And apparently she got shot by the cops yesterday and then arrested for attempted murder. What? Yeah, it's pretty crazy, too. This actually was on Tuesday. There was a hit-and-run accident somewhere in L.A. 3 suspects that were involved in the hit-and-run accident got out of the car and fled on foot from the police. They ended up in a residential neighborhood. Now, this is where Scott Schreiner's wife shows up. Her name is Jillian Schreiner. Cops approaching the back of a home where one of the suspects had been seen running. Jillian Schreiner appears in the yard of her own home, which is next door to the home that the cops were at, with a handgun. Maybe had heard about it, maybe saw someone running around her backyard, went out back with the handgun. According to the reports, police asked her to drop the gun. She refused numerous times, then pointed the gun at the officers, at which point they ended up shooting her in the shoulder. Unclear if she fired at them first, but Rolling Stone referred to the confrontation as a shootout, which usually means gunshots from both sides. After she had been shot in the shoulder by the cops, Jillian Schreiner, again the wife of the Weezer bassist Scott Schreiner, ran back into her house, came out a half hour later with her babysitter, and surrendered to the police. And there's video of it, aerial coverage, drone footage, whatever you want to call it, and laying down in the middle of the road, hands all out to the sides. She was treated at a hospital for her gunshot wound, then booked on an attempted murder charge. Weezer, by the way, is supposed to perform at Coachella this weekend. Maybe without their bass player, as he'll probably be a little bit busy dealing with this whole situation with his wife.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
That's a couple from Weezer, Beverly Hills. Previous to that, Hash Pipe, talking about the wife of the bass player for Weezer getting shot yesterday by police in L.A. after brandishing a handgun in her own yard, apparently, and ended up in the hospital and then arrested for attempted murder. I didn't know anything about her. I knew nothing about her. Never even heard her name before. Her Wikipedia page, by the way, already has the information about the shooting on there. You got to scroll down a bit, but I didn't really. She's a book writer. She's an author. Also a former call girl for the Prince of Brunei. I did not know that. She wrote a book about her experience there called Some Girls, My Life in a Harem. Who knew? Also apparently wrote a book, a true crime book called Behold the Monster, facing America's most prolific serial killer. A book about her extensive interviews with serial killer Samuel Little, who's convicted of 8 murders and confessed to many, many more, all occurring between 1970 and 2005. Again, had no idea. Nothing. Knew nothing about her. Never even heard her name. Then all of a sudden, all this crazy shenanigans happens out there in L.A., and I'm going down a wormhole on Wikipedia trying to figure out more about Jillian Lauren Schreiner, the wife of the Weezer bass player, shot by the L.A. PD yesterday. Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Office Cora is going to join me just after 8 o'clock. Hypothetical Thursday. We'll ask each other some hypothetical questions. See what she's up to this weekend. In the 715. And, of course, if you need anything, rockmornings.com for all our contact info. going to kind of be a repeat of yesterday. Today, not too bad. Somewhere in the mid to low 50s. Clouds expected. We did get some light rain on the overnight, but that's pretty much done and over with. Looking towards this weekend, though, Saturday and Sunday, high temps in the 60s.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Weekdays, 6 to 9.
Rage Against the Machine with Bulls on Parade. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. She'll be gone until maybe Monday or Tuesday. We'll see what the bus situation is on the way back. She's on the way to Nashville, Music City. I'm headed there end of the month to go see Metallica. She's going down there with her daughters and some people on a bus to check out all the sights, eat some food, do some tours, all that crap. There's a dog that went missing in Utah a couple of weeks ago, showed up 1,000 miles away in North Texas. And people in the North Texas community apparently all pitched in, donated $2,000 to get this dog back to its original owner. Huey is the dog's name.
Beautiful dog, and we just wanted to help the dog. We wanted to help this family and also help Collin County because we know that they're full. We had the means and the support to get him back home, and we wanted to take advantage of that.
Looks almost like a pit bull. Hard to say. Maybe a little bit of a mutt mix there, but Huey is the name of the dog. Apparently, the guy that owns Huey in Utah had a friend watch him for a little while, and Huey decided that he was going to go gallivanting. Anybody who's ever had pets knows that horror when your pet gets out while you're not around. It's not even better when you're around, but you just hope that your friends also care enough to go looking for your pet, your animal. He was 1,000 miles away in Collin County, Texas. The Collin County Animal Shelter, picking him up as a stray, later transferred to the Colony Animal Services. They shared the story online. It was viewed thousands and thousands of times. And, of course, the original owner able to get in touch with them and didn't have the means to go down and pick Huey up. So the community there in North Texas apparently donating about $2,000 to pay for Huey's transportation. And he's headed back to his original owner in Utah after getting loose and traveling 1,000 miles to North Texas. It's a hell of a trip. Also, in good news, if you will, a student at Castle High in Newburgh, Indiana, helping to give first aid to a faculty member who needed medical assistance. Toby Lannert, who is also an EMT student at Warwick Pathways and Career Center. That's what this kid wants to do for a living. In class, when his teacher collapsed, Toby did an assessment, helped the school nurse, rendering first aid until the ambulance arrived. The official, Career Center official, Chuck Dietrich, said, "Great to see our students putting their education to work." So, yeah, this kid in Indiana named Toby Lannert, jumping into action to save his high school teacher who had collapsed. He and the school nurse taking care of the teacher until the ambulance showed up. It was good practice for Toby, as obviously he wants to be a EMT, first responder, when he graduates and goes into the workforce. So put his skills to the test right there in school. Pop Evil and Foo Fighters coming up next.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find the daily podcast at rockmornings.com.
Got a message from my guy Pickles, avid listener, obviously. Love you, Pickles. Says, no effing way that dog went 1,000 miles. Somebody took that dog. Well, I don't know all of the details of the story, but my guess is the dog did get loose and then somehow probably got picked up by someone. You'd hope, unless the guy's friend who was taking care of the dog while he was out of town is nefarious and tried to sell the dog on Craigslist or let it out on his own or gave it to somebody. I have no idea. But the story, according to the people involved, is that the dog got loosed while someone else was watching it and ended up about 1,000 miles away. I don't know. We had a story earlier this week about that dog. It was 5 years later. It was after a hurricane and ended up in a bazillion miles away from home. I can tell you one thing. When our boxer, Ali, got loose several years ago while she was still alive, and she took off and went full bore down the street, I thought I'd never see her again. And I thought that dog could run from here to the East Coast and get there tomorrow. I mean, she was, I'm being facetious, obviously, but she had a full head of steam and was gone. She didn't look back, wanted no part of us. She was just happy to be off the leash. Didn't even care. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows? Thanks for the message, though, Pickles. Appreciate that. Speaking of our pets, our animals, we have a new boxer. We got her in December, right before Christmas. Her name is Remy, and she's now a little more than 6 months old, and went in to get a spay last week, and came home and was very doped out for a little while. The anesthesia still kind of wearing off, and we had some pain pills for her, also some relaxation pills if you want. Doggy Vicodin or Valium, Doggy Valium. And, yeah, we did not do a good job. You're supposed to keep them calm. You're not supposed to let them jump or run around. And for the most part, she didn't. You know, we spend a lot of time with her in the living room, on the couch. The problem is that because she's a puppy, so fast, so quick, so energetic, so much energy. And as soon as she wants to, she will be off the couch and running down the hallway after the cat. Or running downstairs after the cat. It's the stupid cat. I may have to keep the cat sequestered in the basement because I noticed that her stitches had not broken open, thankfully. There was no oozing or weeping or discoloration. There was no pain when I would touch the stitches. But I noticed yesterday, after I got home from work, that my dog's area where she had been spayed was bulging a little bit. So called the vet. They said, send in a few pictures. Sent in the pictures. They called me back. They said, can you come in later on? I said, okay. Bring the dog in. They do some testing. They bring her back. They do an ultrasound. And looks like everything's okay. They didn't see anything that was very concerning. They said, basically, look, you got to just, she's got to just lay down and stay down. And when you take her out, she's got to be on the leash and she can't be jumping around and running and going crazy. So now we have to have this stupid dog on the leash 24/7 in our house because she's so quick. And I'm not, and neither is my wife. So the moment she wants to, the drop of a hat, she gets off that couch and she's after that cat. And they love to play and wrestle, and that's great. But for at least another week, we got to keep her as calm as humanly possible. And that's going to be challenging. Trying not to dope her up too much either. Don't want her to be all dopey and weird. But a lot of whining yesterday. A lot of unhappiness on the couch. Just sort of laying there next to Dad while he worked on his computer. But, yeah, not fun. And then, of course, you go into the vet and you're like, oh, I'm a bad owner. I didn't do what you guys told me to do. And they're very nice and apologetic. And, oh, we understand. And it's a puppy and it's hard and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, dude, it's tough. It ain't easy. But having a pet apparently makes you as happy as having an extra $90,000 a year. I'm not quite sure what kind of methodology they use for this study, what kind of equations, what kind of science is behind it, but researchers in England looked at how much happier people are when we have a pet and somehow managed to put a dollar figure on it. They said that having a dog or cat makes you as happy as you'd be earning an extra $90,000 a year. And I can tell you without question that is not true. I would definitely be happier with an extra $90,000 a year. I'd still have a dog and I'd be very happy, but I'd be even more happy if I had an extra $90,000 a year. Don't get me wrong. Love my dog. Not trying to get rid of it for $90,000, but I'm just saying that $90,000 extra a year would make me happier. The study also says that being married ups your happiness by an extra $90,000 a year. Well, that's just insane. I don't know what these guys are smoking before they do these studies, but man, I want some of it. Foo Fighters in a couple of minutes. If you've got something you need, rockmornings.com for all our contact info. Right now, it's Pop Evil.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings.
The Fighters of Foo with My Hero on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Hypothetical Thursday. We'll talk to Office Cora about that just after 8 o'clock. Also get to bad news, happy music, the friggin' sports, all sorts of other stuff. Bucks are at home tonight against the Pelicans. 7 o'clock tip. Only 3 games left in the regular season for the Bucks. Brewers are in Colorado to take on the Rockies at 2:10 this afternoon. The final game of that 3-game series. Brewers looking for a sweep of the Rockies after beating them 17-2 last night.
The pitch, 1-1 is a fly ball, right center field. Mitchell tracking it back into his left, makes the catch, and this ball game is in the books. The Brewers have taken the first 2 games of this series and won their first series in Colorado since May of 2018.
And they put it on them. Jackson Churio homering, doubling in 5 runs. Brew Crew 17-2 yesterday. It looks like 2:10 first pitch, trying to complete the sweep this afternoon. Alexander Ovechkin setting the record on Sunday, 895. And on the heels of that, a Rolls Royce that was gifted to Wayne Gretzky when he passed Gordie Howe is now going up for auction. Gretzky's got nothing to do with it. He doesn't own it. It's passed hands, or been through a bunch of different hands since Gretzky got it from Gordie Howe. But actually, it was the Kings who gave it to him, not Gordie Howe. But a memento from when Gretzky took the record from Gordie Howe back in 1994 is now on the auction block after the great one scored 802, putting him atop the all-time leaderboard. The Kings gave Gretzky a 1994 Rolls-Royce Corniche 4 in honor of his achievement. Gretzky at the time said, quote, "I really do feel a little embarrassed standing here getting this car this evening. It's overwhelming, but I'll take it." The car, by the way, the Rolls-Royce, one of 219 Corniche 4s that were ever built, holds a pre-sale estimate of $894,000. Unclear how long Gretzky held onto the car, not the co-signer on this thing. The auction house says it's had multiple owners over the years, recently being serviced by its original dealer. The car is finished with the Kings black and silver colors and has less than 10,000 miles on it. And it's going up for auction. So if you've got an extra $1 million or $2 million laying around and you want to bid on a Rolls Royce that was originally given to Wayne Gretzky by the Los Angeles Kings back in the mid-'90s, there you go. Coming up next hour in sports, we're going to talk about some other records, sports records that may be broken at some point. I mean, for a long, long time, nobody thought that Gretzky's record, career goals at least, was going to be broken. And then here's Ovi breaking it on Sunday. So we'll go over some other records at about 8:25. Also going to get to some 3 Days Grace in just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
That is 3 Days Grace, Rockfest tunage from them, May Day. I'm about a bazillion % sure we'll see them perform that this July in Cadott at Rockfest. I saw yesterday 98% of the camping is sold out. So if you've been waiting around, for a paycheck or something like that, making sure the one guy can actually go, I wouldn't wait around anymore because probably not going to be any campsites left by the time we get to Rockfest. Might not even be campsites by the end of this month. Excuse me. Still dealing with this, man. Thanks to my wife for bringing it home and giving it to me. I mean, we had fun giving it to each other. Don't get me wrong. It was a good weekend, but dealing with this all week's not been fun. Not at all. Cough. Nasally. Lack of sleep. All that stuff. Have to sleep like sitting up because once you lay down, it starts to reverberate in your chest and it's like, ah! And then you wake up and you can't breathe and, it's awful. Yeah. Just got to wait it out, man. Just got to wait it out. Rockmornings.com to get in touch with me. Make sure you register for date night, which is tomorrow. Hooking people up with freebies on Fridays. I used to manage, actually. I was not the manager. I was a manager, an assistant manager, if you will, at a record store in my hometown of Nashua, New Hampshire, a place called Strawberries. Music, movies, and more. I miss those days. I got to be honest. I know everything is different now and whatever, and we're just on this rock hurling through space, and we have no say in the matter anymore, and people don't buy CDs and stuff like that. And I will say, don't forget, side note, Record Store Day is this Saturday. So if you live in a community that has a small record store, like we do here in La Crosse, Deaf Ear Records, I know there's one down in Viroqua. There's obviously one in Madison. But if you live in an area that's got a small record store, a place that's, got records, CDs, tapes, posters, there's probably some glass devices in there for weed consumption, maybe some action figures. Go in there on Saturday. Go in there every day and support them because those places are awesome. I grew up loving those places. We had several of them where I grew up. I eventually was, as I mentioned, an assistant manager at one of these places. It was called Strawberries, Music, Movies, and More. Newbury Comics was a big one on the East Coast for a long time, based out of Boston. But again, Record Store Day on Saturday. Hundreds, if not thousands, of different specialty releases. I know Blackstone Cherry's got one I'm going to try to pick up. Rage Against the Machine's got a record I'm going to try to pick up, a dual vinyl set that's a live performance from 93. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be waiting in line on Saturday morning. So, again, a reminder that Record Store Day is on Saturday. Get out and support not only local businesses owned by local people, but small record stores that thankfully are still alive and still thriving in this sort of weirdness that we live in. But back to my original story, as I took a little 10-mile sidetrack there. I tend to do that. I used to manage this place, assistant manage this place, Strawberries, in my hometown, Music, Movies, and More. And every month, we would get a new CD from the company, from corporate. And that CD had upcoming new releases on it that we would play in the store. And the CD was just on a loop, right? It was behind the register. It was underneath the register there behind the counter. And you pop the CD in first thing in the morning. And you just hit, loop or whatever the hell it's called. And it would just play on a loop. And the nice thing was that even though you'd be there for 8 to 10 hours, it was 2 to 3 hours long. So you'd only hear it twice, maybe 3 times in a shift. But man, I got sick of that because there was always bands on there that I hated. One of them was Fish. I can't stand Fish. I don't get it. It's much like The Dead. It's not a band I ever got into. Too hippy-dippy, too jammy. I do enjoy some prog rock, but the Fish, I can't do the Fish. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Fish. And they had an album coming out, which obviously isn't surprising. They always seem to have albums coming out. And one of the songs on the album was featured on our monthly CD, and it was Slaves to the Traffic Light. And I hate Fish, and I hate that song, and I had to hear it for a whole entire month. And my productivity level must have suffered, especially during those 9 minutes that song was on. And now I know I'm right, because there is a new study that just found out that bad background music at work can destroy employees' moods and productivity. And you know this if you work in retail, especially during the holidays. That's when it really comes into play, right? They start jamming that Christmas music up your ass. I mean, they start that stuff in October now. They're not messing around. And if you got to hear all that Christmas music, and everywhere you go, it's Christmas music, it can make you sick. And of course, it's subjective. Some people enjoy some songs. Some people enjoy other songs. So maybe you are jamming out a little bit in that first week or two to some of the Christmas tunes, right? Oh, I haven't heard this one since last year. But after a while, let's be honest, it gets a little nauseating. Employees who enjoy Christmas music can seem much more engaged and pleasant than the ones who are Grinches and want to take a break from the psychosis that can occur when working in retail during the holidays. Big corporate places probably won't change anything, but small businesses can benefit, according to this survey, by allowing staff to pick their own music within reason. Obviously, Empire Records comes to mind, right? Situation where everybody gets a chance to play a song or a couple of songs during the day. People have passes, where you can skip a song, but you only get one pass a day. Just think about that. If you're a boss, an employer, and you're cranking tunes, and how impactful it can be on your employees if they had a say in that. I know that if I had a say in the music that we played at Strawberries, Music, Movies, and More, there would be no Fish. That time again, once again, I'm bouncing around the room. And I can't forget it either because it's catchy. I'll give them credit. They have catchy tunes. I hate it. I hate it so much. Stupid fish. Ugh. Hey, man, when's the new fish coming out? I don't know. Don't come in here ever again. Maybe that's why they closed. That and we were stealing. Me and my friend Chakas taking all the CDs. Good times, though. A lot of fun memories. Had a lot of fun working at Strawberries. Music, movies, and more. The Nashville Mall and Plaza. It's good times. Oh, the one thing I really remember, though, is we were upgrading to like a new register system. Oh, I knew that was going to be the end of me. They started bringing that stuff in and trying to teach it to me, and I was like, we had one of those old registers. You just press the numbers and then you hit enter and all that crap. Very easy to operate. Then they brought in these new like high-tech registers with scans and all. Nope, I was out. I checked out mentally. I couldn't do it anymore.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings.
A7X with Nightmare. Ugh. This song gives me so much PTSD. And I'm not trying to compare mine to soldiers and people who have real PTSD. It's just a phrase, if you will, but the rush of emotions and feelings and memories that I get whenever I see this song or this band or hear this tune, oh. Smoked and I woke. There it is. I got it. Bouncing around the room. Yes, for a month. This song was on the CD. The new album's coming out, and I worked at Strawberries. I had to hear this song 2-3 times a day. Fish. I got a text from my guy, Ben Kapanke from the Lacrosse Loggers. He said, Fish, smiley face. You ain't going to check out the Dead at the Sphere? No, I am not going to the Sphere to see the Dead. I do appreciate Sphere videos, though. I got to say, I'm watching people having mental relapses in some of these videos. Apparently, it's too much. It's overwhelming. It's kind of like going to like a planetarium or whatever and checking out one of those planetarium shows. Apparently, some people can't handle it. I saw a guy, I don't know if he was on shrooms or what, but something in the Sphere went over his head and he like leaned way back on the chair and he couldn't get back up. He was just done for the night. Those Sphere videos are hilarious. All right, I got to stop listening to this fish. I'm sorry. I got to stop it. Oh, my God. Rick says, and that's why you shouldn't play Jelly Roll and do play Fat Mike, LOL. Yeah, I'm not the boss, so I don't make the decisions on the music. And I don't own enough percentage of the company to make those decisions either. But trust me, if I was in charge, we would not be playing Jelly Roll. Maybe some NoFX every once in a while. Davey texted in and said, yes, Fish, I like jam bands, but Trey's vocals are just not where they need to be. I never got into it, man. Again, I like some prog rock. Not really into jam bands. I mean, Rusted Roots, okay. A little bit. OAR, I can kind of deal with some of that stuff. But it's the hits, you know what I mean? Like, I can deal with Crazy Game of Poker. But you start getting into the deep cuts on those albums, I can't do it. I tune out, man. I'm just like, oh, we're doing this for 17 minutes. All right, cool. It's the same thing with the EDM. I can't, those. They're cool. But that was the thing about Prodigy. When Prodigy came out, Firestarter, smack my bitch up. Like that stuff was like 3.5-4 minutes long. So you could enjoy it. And then it'd be over. And then there'd be a new tune. And these Moby guys and some of these other EDM dudes, it's like, man, I don't need 20 minutes of the same thing. The Da Root. Yeah. Tom texted in, wanted to hear some Poison. See if I could do that. Mel texting in, said, on my way to work again today, another 2-car accident between exit 3 and 4 on I-90. People driving that way in the morning, be safe. Mel, this is 2 days in a row. I don't know if it's a coincidence anymore. Maybe you're at fault. Maria wants to hear some Metallica for her birthday. Try to get to that. And Brenda texted in and said, poor Mr. Cricket. He just wants to play with Remy. I know. It's one more week. We got one more week with the stitches and everything, and then hopefully everything will be all right. So, yeah. Thank you for all the correspondence. Find all our stuff online, rockmornings.com. We'll get to Office Cora in just a bit. Find out what she's doing this weekend in 715. Hypothetical Thursday. We'll play around to that with Office Cora as well.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find the daily podcast at rockmornings.com.
8:15-ish on Thursday mornings. Office Cora joining us to talk about what's happening this weekend in the 715. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? You sound like you kind of got a cold.
Yeah, my wife came home with something last week, and we sucked face all weekend long, and I got it.
That
so
sounds lovely and gross.
Well, that's what happens when you're married. You know what I mean? It's like not going to pass up a good time just because I'm going to be sick the entire next week. So that's what I'm dealing with. I've got thankfully it's just me that's got it real bad. The wife has got some kind of sinus infection, I think. So I'm just coughing at night, and I've got stuffed up nasal passages, but I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's the worst, though, in the spring.
Jean is out. She's on her way to Nashville, so haven't had a chance to play.
Vegas.
Yeah.
I guess that's what they call it now.
They call it Nash Vegas? Okay.
Yeah.
The town that I lived in before I moved out here to Wisconsin was called Manchester, New Hampshire, and we called it Manch Vegas when I lived there, or Manch Angeles.
Really? I
think
like that.
I think a lot of towns go with the Vegas surname just to kind of describe what kind of nightlife they have. But Nash Vegas, I'll be heading there at the end of this month to see Metallica. You were there just a few weeks ago, and
oh my gosh, I had so much fun.
Jean's on her way down there.
Food trucks. The food trucks are
apparently the itinerary for this bus trip is a little more in depth than Jean expected. She thought she was going to have a little more free time. And apparently that's not the case. So she's going to try some line dancing, I think, with her daughters and buy a big cowboy buckle or a hat or something.
Ooh,
and I
love it.
They got some other stuff they're doing. They're going to the Grand Ole Opry and Johnny Cash Museum, I think. And so, yeah, she's got plenty of stuff on the agenda. I don't know if she'll have a ton of free time for food trucks, but I definitely plan on.
I love it. I made it out to the Grand Ole Opry, but there was no show or anything when I was there. But I got a nice T-shirt.
That's cool. At least you got the T-shirt. Hypothetical Thursday, Office Cora. Here's my question for you: if you could only one for the rest of your entire life, meat or vegetables?
Oh, meat. I'm a carnivore girl, hardcore.
You'd have to give up all vegetables. You couldn't have any vegetables.
I could do it.
All meat.
I mean, French fries would be hard.
Yeah, because a potato is kind of like a vegetable. It's a tuber, right? It's a legume or whatever you want to call it. So, but
so I could. Yeah.
Let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that potatoes are in the vegetable group.
Yes. Yeah, definitely meats.
You go all meats.
I mean, you got the burgers and
no lettuce on there though. No tomatoes.
Nope, I'd be fine
no
with
onions.
That. You got the bacon. You can throw that on there.
Bacon, cheese, barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah.
No mushrooms though. No mushrooms in your spaghetti sauce. You actually couldn't do spaghetti sauce because that's tomatoes.
You couldn't do spaghetti sauce. It would just be pasta and meatballs.
Well, you could do Alfredo. Everything would be Alfredo because
yes,
that's what milk and cream and
better and better.
Right, so you're going meat, huh?
I'm going meat.
Yeah, I would go meat.
Sure.
I'm
what
not giving up.
Pick?
Oh, as if there's a choice. Anybody who would choose vegetables over meat is a person I don't really need in my life.
Right? Yeah, that just seems weird.
Yeah. Do you have a hypothetical question for me on Hypothetical Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be and how would you use it
Invisibility.
for good?
No, I wouldn't. Well, first of all, I wouldn't use it for good. Second of all, I would be invisible. I don't know. Wait a minute. Does immortality count as a superpower?
Ooh. Yeah.
I'm taking that one. Immortality. Can't be killed, can't die. Immortality. Live forever.
I like it.
Live forever. Because then who cares that you're poor? You know what I mean? Like, I'm poor right now. I have a ton of debt, and life sucks. And there's, like when you only have an exponential, you have a certain amount of time on Earth, you care all that much,
Exactly.
because you only have so much time to fix things or to do things. But if you have unlimited time, you don't have to worry about that crap.
True.
You know what I mean?
Valid.
Like, yeah.
You make a lot of good points. I was thinking like teleportation because, again, it all goes back to the time factor. Like, I want to see so many things around.
Yeah, but if you can live forever, then you can do all that.
Yeah, that takes everything out of the equation. Wow, you should be. I know your wife is a lawyer, but you got some good, like, you could be a good lawyer as well. I totally believe.
I don't know about that
came
because
over to your side.
I could not, because my wife, God bless her, she does so much better for the world and the community than I do. She actually cares about people and is a defense attorney, and I could not. I'd be like, stop committing crimes. How about that?
Yeah.
How about
stop doing that.
You don't want to be in court with me representing you? Don't do crimes. How about that?
Yeah, don't do that.
So I'd be a terrible lawyer. Just, yeah. Roxy texted in and said, technically tomatoes are a fruit. Yeah, that's what I said. You couldn't have tomatoes, fruits and vegetables, right? Anything that's not meat or meat related, you couldn't have it if you had to choose between, meat and vegetables. So
I know.
No apples, no bananas, no oranges, no peas, none of that. Anything that's on that
meat.
side of the fence. Come on, Roxy. Get your head out of your rear end. You know what we're talking
Get
about
with
here.
the program, Roxy. I just wanted to say it. I like the name Roxy.
Well, Roxy is from the 715, by the way, and that's what we're talking to Office Cora about. What's happening in the 715 this weekend?
Well, there is a 24-hour project at the Grand Theater, and I've been involved in a 48-hour film festival where you have 48 hours to put together an entire film where you don't find out even what the topic is until, the clock starts ticking. This is a little bit different because it's based on a play. And so you have different groups, and everything in these performances, the writing, the directing, the designing, the performing, everything will be created in just 24 hours. And you can see the results at the Grand Theater Saturday, 7:30 to 9, and it's $15 to get in to see all the shows. My friend Lance Harris is going to be one of the stars.
24-hour project, Saturday, what time again?
7:30 to 9 at the Grand Theater.
At the Grand Theater, okay. And what else is happening in the 715 this weekend?
This is calling my name. It's at the Brewing Project. It's a little event called Suck It Up Buttercup. And it's like a self-paced planting experience, $20. And I'm guessing you're going to be planting succulents, which are super hard to kill. And I do not have a green thumb. So this is screaming my name.
I might get my wife in that class.
I might actually get a houseplant and a couple beers. That is at the Brewing Project on Saturday,
nice.
Noon to 3.
Saturday, noon to 3 at the Brewing Project. Have some beers and learn how to plant stuff that doesn't die.
Yes, Suck It Up Buttercup. I love the name.
Suck It Up Buttercup. I could use a little bit of help with that. What if you want to plant weed? Are they diving into that or no? Is that not a?
Well, I think it's going to be succulents because suck is spelled SUCC.
Gotcha.
I know, but I bet you could.
All right.
You could probably sneak it in.
Hydroponics.
Yes.
Office Cora joining us each and every Thursday at about 8:15. She, like me, would choose meat if she had to make a choice, and I would go with immortality if I had to choose a superpower. And you said teleportation?
Well, I changed my mind. I want to copy you.
All right, so we're apparently on the same page for both of our...
Because now I got all the time in the world to travel to wherever I want to go.
Right?
So.
See?
Yeah, Team Brian.
All right. Good to talk to you, Office Cora. We'll talk to you next week.
Nice
Have a good weekend. And next Thursday, she'll rejoin us for another round of hypothetical questions and letting us know what's happening in the 715 next weekend.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Weekdays, 6 to 9.
Lincoln Park within the end on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. And talking about Ovi earlier, passing Gretzky on Sunday with number 895.
What's going through Ovi's mind here, Eddie? He wondered why they turned the puck over in the offensive zone. He had to stay all the way back into his own zone there. But no, look, he's just trying to find a seam and know that, hey, I'm going to try to force it to him if he's open.
Here is Ovechkin. Shoots. He scores! He scores! Number 895!
Yeah, the grade 8 finally doing it. Obviously, Gretzky's got plenty of other records. But the career goals, as of right now, in the NHL goes to Alexander Ovechkin. So what other records are out there in sports that may eventually get surpassed? Right now, LeBron James in the NBA has the scoring record. 42,000 and some odd points and counting. He's probably still going to play another year or two. They're saying, according to BleacherReport.com, with a big list of potential sports records will get broken next, they're saying Luka Doncic might be able to do it. Doncic, higher scoring average than LeBron did through 7 seasons. has about 100 fewer games through the same point. LeBron averaging nearly 71 games per season for 22 years, while Doncic's currently at a 64 per year pace. Doncic, with somewhere around 13,000 career points, would need to play about 1,026 more games and keep his current scoring average to catch LeBron James at his current scoring total. But at some point, many years down the road, Luka could potentially pass LeBron James for the all-time scoring record in the NBA. Again, this is a BleacherReport.com article about some of the records that still stand the test of time in the major leagues. Jerry Rice's career receiving yards, 22,895. They're saying that maybe Justin Jefferson could pass that. Mike Evans, obviously the NFL making changes all the time to make the offense more potent. Try to get scoring up. Those guys demanding the ball, they're diva receivers. Justin Jefferson may have a better chance to pass Jerry Rice, 2022 AP Offensive Player of the Year. 96.5 receiving yards per game through his first 5 seasons, putting him at 7,432 for his career. Over 1,000 more than Rice's total through 5 years. So already, again, the problem here, injury, longevity of career. How long can he do it? They're saying that Austin Matthews might surpass Ovi at some point, and I think Ovi's got another year or two in his gas tank, maybe 3. He could look at 1,000 goals by the time he's done, but they're saying that Austin Matthews might be able to catch him and pass him at some point. Should Matthews make it through year 20 like Ovechkin, he'll need to average 45.2 goals per season or more in order to pass Ovi. Sometime around 2037, 2038, when he'll be turning 40. They've also got Hakeem Olajuwon's career blocks on this list. Reggie Jackson's career strikeouts. Bruce Smith and his career sacks, 200 career sacks. BleacherReport.com with a list of some of the remaining records that are out there in major sports that could be broken at some point and who might be heading for those records now that Ovi's passed the great one on the ice in the NHL. We'll get to bad news, happy music in just a few minutes.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world.
A cockroach living in your nostril. Now that's just nasty. Add in some haven't pooped for 30 days.
Poop is raining from the ceilings. Poop.
And sprinkle in some hashtag Florida Man for flavor.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man quits his Burger King job, steals all of their chicken nuggets.
It's bad news.
Bad news.
With happy music.
Let's rock.
Had that video a couple of weeks ago of that autonomous robot lunging toward some people in a crowd, like the robot was going to attack them, and not as menacing, but still as annoying. You start talking about AI and computers and robots and driverless cars and all these things that are supposed to enrich and make our lives better. The drive-through lines at a Chick-fil-A notoriously long, and apparently on Monday night, a Waymo driverless taxi glitched out and caused a major backup at a Chick-fil-A in Santa Monica, California. Hard to feel bad for California. No one was hurt, but the driverless car did cause enough commotion that they had to close the drive-through. Witnesses say the Waymo car stalled out with its hazard lights on. At one point, it backed up a little bit, then it stopped again. So this thing's like herky-jerky trying to figure itself out. Unclear if anybody was inside the car or if it was on a solo mission. Some hungry people complaining about being stuck, waiting for over a half hour, but ultimately everybody survived and the world did not end. But it's coming. It is coming. That's another nice caveat to being able to live forever. You can outlive the Cyberdyne, the Skynet. You can outlive it. It can't kill you. Right? 911 dispatch operator in Georgia under investigation for apparently ordering breakfast while on a 911 distress call. There's a guy who was at work. Earlier this year, his wife gave him a call, said that someone was snooping around the house, banging on the doors and the windows. Apparently, it was somebody they knew. So initially, he called the county's non-emergency line, right? Not the 911 line, the other number. But nobody picked up, so then he called 911. He said it took 3 calls and 6 minutes before somebody actually answered. And when they did answer, they were too busy calling in their order for McGriddles. You can hear it in the audio.
My wife called me while I was at work at about 9:30 and said someone was snooping around the house, knocking on the doors, banging on the windows and stuff. I was panicking because, my wife is home alone with my 5-month-old daughter. And I was, coming home not knowing what I was going to come home to.
McGriddle? Sorry, what?
That should never happen. Your ordering breakfast should be different from your answering a call, and the two should never intertwine.
The guy's name is, Christ, I just had it. Dylan Johnson, calling 911, trying to get a hold of somebody over there because his wife was calling him in a panic. Somebody snooping around the house, and look, dude, I get it. McGriddles are delicious. But you're a 911 dispatcher. Your job is to pick up as soon as the phone rings and figure out what the problem is and send the appropriate authorities over there. The McGriddle can wait. Cops eventually did show up at the house. By the time they got there, however, the unwanted visitor was gone. The man has since obtained the audio of the call, which you, of course, heard there, asking officials to clean up their act. Someone from the county says something like this should never happen. Still, the data from the county that this guy lives in said that just last year, 24%, almost a quarter of 911 calls were marked as abandoned. The breakfast ordering dispatcher's actions, quote, under review in this county in Georgia. Guy's trying to get some help over at his house for his wife while he's at work and too busy ordering delicious McGriddles. Is that with or without hash browns? I'm loving it. It's got to be with, right? It's got to be. Hashtag Texas. A mother in Texas accused of driving while drunk, telling cops that she was on the way to pick up her 5-month-old baby. Unfortunately for her, the baby was already in the car.
I'm not that intoxicated.
How drunk you got to be to not realize your baby's in the car while you're getting pulled over for DUI and telling the cops that you're going to pick up the baby. Ivana Dolores Salazar arrested after allegedly getting behind the wheel of her car while drunk with her infant in the back seat. Also charged with driving while intoxicated with a passenger under 15 and 1 count of endangering a child. After failing to indicate while changing lanes, she was pulled over, claimed she was on the way from work to pick up her infant. Police conducting the traffic stop noticed a glass container of an unknown red liquid in her car. She told cops that nobody else was in the vehicle, but after she was placed in handcuffs, they discovered the 5-month-old child in the back seat. Infant improperly secured into the car seat. Salazar then repeated that she had just left work and was on her way to pick up the baby. Obviously not the case. Deputies escorting her back to the vehicle showed her that the kid was in the back seat. At that point, Salazar became uncooperative, claimed she did not know the baby was in the car. Mom of the year right there. Mom of the year. That's some good stuff. Some good parenting. Philadelphia, I don't know if you saw the video, but made the way around the internet the other day. Several pallbearers, the people who carry the casket, injured when they fell into the grave while carrying a casket in North Philadelphia.
It was just a horrible incident that happened in a bad moment. The casket laid on top of him and he was out like a light. His face was in the mud. The whole thing was trembling. It was like wobbly. It was unstable. It was all wet and soaked. I think that they should apologize. I think that there should be some reimbursement involved, being that the ceremony was interrupted. Nothing was done properly.
Yeah, I'll say. You see the video, and all these dudes go into the grave with the casket. Pallbearers carrying a man named Benjamin Aviles to his final resting spot when the platform above the burial site collapsed right under their feet. And now the family is speaking out. As they began to lay the casket down, the video shows the platform above the burial site collapse, sending the men plunging into the burial hole. Maribel Rodriguez, the stepdaughter of the man they were putting to rest, said the men who plunged into the hole all suffered injuries, mostly to their legs, hands, and back. Oof. None of the injuries considered serious. All involved expected to be okay, but still. That doesn't make for a good day at the cemetery. I mean, no day at the cemetery is usually a good day, but especially when you fall into the hole with the casket. Bad news with happy music, last but not least. A foster mom near St. Louis accused of trying to trade a child for a monkey.
We'll have to do some deeper dives into hopefully their communications to see if that trade was actually for consideration, if that was for the purposes of human trafficking. And we don't know that yet, but it is an allegation that's out there that we need to look into.
So there's that. Brenda Ruth Deutsch, charged with 2 counts of abuse or neglect of a child and 1 count of endangering the welfare of a child, a foster and adoptive parent. She was taken into custody last weekend. According to the probable cause statement, police said an investigation started back in November when Deutsch requested to take the victim to Deutsch's friend in Texas. Police got involved with the investigation after the Missouri Department of Social Services Children's Department got an anonymous tip alleging mental and physical abuse of the victim. During an interview with the victim, the kid, she told police that Deutsch hit her with a paddle, shoes, and an open hand. And during one alleged assault, she said Deutsch had someone hold her down while Deutsch hit her bare buttocks. Also said that Deutsch would steal her clothes and give them away as a form of punishment. Told them that Deutsch had taken her to a psychiatric hospital, and later had her admitted to a residential facility for 9 months. The probable cause statement continues saying that Deutsch had arranged for the girl to go to Texas to stay with her friend, whereas a witness told police she was left alone in a house with exotic animals in dirty conditions. Prosecutor says the details of the case are heinous and disturbing, and worse, this woman apparently has fostered over 200 kids over the years. So how many of these kids have been abused by this woman and potentially got traded for monkeys? The girl now with Child Protective Services, sounds like the foster mom could be facing a long list of charges and going away for a really long time. Yeah. Apparently, this Deutsch lady knew the guy in Texas because they both collected exotic animals. Probably some sort of Facebook group or whatever. Going to trade the guy a kid for a monkey. Well, that sounds delightful. Bad news, happy music. Request from Tom. Wanted to hear some Poison. Here you go, buddy.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. More from Brian and Gene is coming up. Call.
Hello.
Email.
I tried emailing you.
Text. So many ways to check in with us. Check. We rely on you guys for traffic updates, requests, and all sorts of other stuff.
Check this out.
That Poison was for Tom, who texted in earlier, said, have a great day. Good morning. Can you play some Look What the Cat Dragged In? And I did. You're welcome. Thanks, Tom. Looks like next year, 2026, a Poison 40th anniversary tour. You know I'll be there. A text from the 5th Lori earlier this morning saying the original's still the best. Thank you. Talking about Scrady's version of the Thursday song from many, many years ago. Brenda said, poor Cricket, he just wants to play with Remy too. Got a new friend and have to settle down. That's no fun. Well, it's only for the next week. They'll figure it out. But yeah, Remy not doing herself any favors with all the activity and those stitches from her spay. Trying to keep her under sedation, essentially. Maria wanted to hear that Metallica Enter Sandman for her birthday. Please and thank you. Have a great day. Thanks, Maria. Happy birthday. I'll get to that here in a bit. Got a text from someone who, Paul, said, love listening to the A7X Nightmare, brought back memories of the old Happenings bar. That right there cured my fish PTSD. Yeah, good memories from all those days a long time ago. Somebody texted in after Office Cora asked me which superpower I'd go with, and I said I would choose immortality. And this person said, Highlander, you live forever. Sort of. The thing with Highlanders, you get your head cut off, and that's it. It's end of story. Immortality, that's it. You're alive forever. Nothing can kill you. Kind of like Jason, just keep coming back. Let's see. Got a text from Davey. Said, yeah, Fish, I like jam bands. Trey's vocals are just not what they need to be. Mm-hmm. Not a fan of the Fish. And like I said, at one point in my younger years when I worked at a CD store, we had to listen to it on a loop. It was brutal. Thank you very much for all the correspondence. Good to hear from you guys. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Looking forward to it.